So I was just on a call with one of my students and he was asking me how to handle two specific objections that I see all the time in the AI agency space. The first one was, I don't think I need this because I handle booking all my appointments myself. And the second one was, I don't think AI could do better than me. So in this video, I'm going to show you behind the scenes on our call exactly how to handle these objections.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you for that. And just one last question separate from this. Basically, on cold calls, I mean, I tried with roofers as well,
Yep.
and the common theme I was hearing was about that they are taking the calls themselves, but then obviously that's an obvious
Yeah.
rebuttal that you can give that, right? That's not that hard. But then they were saying that we're booked out and I'm happy to just continue the way I am and all that stuff. And I'm trying to obviously reframe that and talk about the time that they're spending on doing that as opposed to focusing on the service that they're providing.
Hmm.
And if they were to even pay a receptionist, that's going to be far more than what I would be charging them and so on. But what they're trying to say is that we're getting results regardless. So what they're saying is that to pay you money for something I'm already doing, with great success,
Yeah.
I don't see the reason why. So that's where I'm getting a little bit stuck as to what
Yeah.
perhaps might be the response.
So there's two answers to this. Number one is if this is happening like really frequently, but if it's here and
Mm,
there, then the truth is with any sort of outreach, you're never going to have a 100% hit rate because in order to sell someone, there needs to be a high ticket problem or a high ticket desire. So for reference,
yeah.
I could be doing 30K a month, but if I want to get to 100K a month, then that means
Hmm.
that I have a $70,000 a month problem right there. That's a
Yep.
high ticket problem that someone can sell me on something. But number one, the thing that they need to sell me on has to be one of my problems. For reference, I got reached out to by a sales trainer the other day on Instagram. He was DMing me and like
Mm,
pitching me and this and that. And the thing with me is like I currently don't take sales calls.
yeah.
I'm just for reference, I'm operating two businesses, one with Matei, one with Elliot. And on both of
Mm,
those sides, we have really good closers and really good sales managers. I'm not the one
yep.
managing the sales reps. I'm not the one closing deals. So I have like it's impossible for him to handle my objection because I
Yeah.
just don't need it. Like I have no problems in sales, so there's nothing he could
Yeah.
sell me on. Um,
Yep.
so there's that aspect of it. And then secondly is when people are content, right? And this goes for both divisions of business
Yeah.
and also just like life in general. But for reference, let's say I was like personally happy at 30K a month, or even 10K. In all honesty, with
Yeah.
10K a month, like you're doing well. So
Yeah.
if I was content at that, then it would be really hard for really anyone to sell me something for me to grow my
Mm,
business or do anything of that nature because I'm content. I'm fine. It's like
yeah.
you're trying to sell me to get to 100K a month, but I'm fine at 30. There's
Yes.
no high ticket problem. Um, and there's not much to sell on. The thing that could be sold on, and keep in mind, this is always going to be individualistic,
Mm,
is going to be managing 10K a month, whether that's more passively, whether that is with less time, with less headache,
yeah.
doing less of the things I don't like. So, for reference, when I was taking sales calls for my agency, sales was probably, despite the fact that I got pretty good at it, it
Yeah.
wasn't my favorite aspect of the business. I love the marketing side, the front end, building systems, building ecosystems,
Yeah.
really scaling and operating.
Hmm.
But sitting on sales calls with realtors wasn't the most fun part for me.
Yeah.
So, despite the fact that I might be happy at 30K a month, if someone were to come and say, hey, I will remove you from your sales process so that you can make 30K a month without having to deal with the sales, I'd be like, all right, great. But, and this is the big but, because this is exactly what you experienced on that call. If someone came
Yeah.
to me and said, I'll place a ad strategist in your
Mm,
business so you don't have to do that, I'd be like, well, I'm fine running ads. Like I love it. That's my favorite part about running the business. And like
yeah.
so I don't want that. And it's really, really
Hmm.
hard to sell people who are content with number one, where they're at, and number two,
Yeah.
how they're operating. A lot of
Yeah.
roofers, because they're on jobs all the time, they hate having to pick up the phone on the roof. They hate missing calls, missing money. Like
Yeah.
they're financially struggling. And it's like this can really help them. That's a high ticket problem. But a roofer
Mm,
who loves talking with people on the phone has a really like is always booked out. So he's like he has appointments,
yeah.
money, like his system works and he's content with how it works. That's the big thing, how it works. It's just a case where
Yes.
that's going to be a case where it's like, okay, on to the next prospect. This guy probably isn't a fit. Um,
Mm,
and keep in mind, like with outreach,
yes.
that's something that's a lot more common versus paid ads. If he came through paid ads, then begs the question,
Mm,
why did you opt in? If I have an ad that's like, let's say replace your receptionist or
Yeah,
book more appointments, it's like, why would you opt in if you're already happy? Like, it's a whole different
exactly. Yeah,
dynamic. But with outreach, keep in mind you might reach out to a retired roofer, and like it's like, okay,
yeah,
how are we going to sell
mm,
it? How are we going to convince him to get back in the business? It's like, no,
yeah,
that's a case where it's like, okay, this guy's not fit, on to the next. Okay, this guy is
yeah,
content with where he's at and how he's doing things. Okay, awesome. On to the next, to someone who's like, yeah, I hate picking up the phone or getting a bunch of dials while I'm on the roofs. I just want to be doing the roofs. Yeah, my calendar's been empty, and like I really just, that's someone who needs your service, and that's going to be a
yes.
much better sale.
Brilliant. Yeah. Thank you so much for that, James. Just one last thing. I know the
Yeah,
other
yeah,
one was going to be the last one, but this is going to be it. So one of the objections was quite interesting, but he kept going on about uncanny valley, talking about the similarity of robots to humans and how the older generation would become. He was going on a full speech about it. I'm thinking, what's going on? You know, I thought it was just going to be a quick call, and he's just talking about how
yeah,
people
yeah,
get freaked out by robots and so on. And he was talking about how he's the face of the business. People come to him because of him, right, rather than
yep,
necessarily just a problem that they're trying to fix. And he's
yep,
got repeat customers. I was wondering, so when it comes to that, right, them saying that they're the face of the business, the way they are, their personality, and they're saying how will that be replicated with AI because that isn't me anymore. I try to say that whatever you want the AI to say, it will do that. But yeah, just repeat customers. A lot of my business are people that I already know, so therefore getting an AI just wouldn't make sense for me. I'm just wondering when it comes to those objections, what is the most likely thing to say then?
yeah. So if you really have to extrapolate which aspect he's talking about when it comes to
Mm,
his personality. Is that on the appointment booking side, or is that on the, oh, when you shake their hand in person, when you're actually doing the roof after the job, the customer experience? Because keep in mind, the AI
yeah,
is there for a very particular purpose. It's not to
yeah,
replace him in the whole process. It is to
mm,
strictly streamline the appointment booking process, which means that like if people are
yes,
calling him to talk with him, it's like that's one thing. But if people
mm,
are calling to book an appointment and then in person, they like shaking his hand, they give him a water. I don't know. After the job is
yeah,
done, I'm not a roofing expert, but that's very likely what that is.
mm,
To where same thing with like emails for reference. Like if someone emails me, okay,
yeah,
someone might be very involved with me or come to me because they've heard good things about me. But if an
mm,
AI responds to their email to then get them on a call with me and then I'm on the call, it's like that doesn't change anything about the interaction or about the personalization. All it does is
yeah,
streamline step one. So I would really figure out what that is. You also
mm,
could go down the route of non-repeat customers, number one, and
yeah,
overall just like the fact that him being the only reason that, call it, the business is succeeding, or he's able to convert
mm,
leads or book appointments, that's actually not a good thing depending on his goals. So that's where it's
yeah,
like, if he's ever looking to exit the company, if he's ever looking to
yeah,
sell the company, if he ever wants to delegate and hire out certain roles, it's like, how does he
yeah,
expect to do that? It's like, you kind of can't.
yes,
If I was only closing deals because of who I was, then that means
yeah,
that I would never be able to have closers. Um,
yes,
versus people can still come to me. People see testimonials, they see referrals, they see my content. They're like, okay, I want to work with this guy, James. But the fact that they're not talking to me, let's say on a set call or even
mm,
on the sales call, it's like, that doesn't actually change the fact that they're coming for me and they still get me. It's just at a different stage. Because the AI
yes,
isn't going to be meeting them in person. The AI isn't going to be on their roof. The AI isn't going to be talking
exactly,
with them after all of that. It's only to streamline that one
yeah,
part. So that's where a little bit more digging is going to be necessary in order to sell someone. Because keep in
yes,
mind, the way that you reframe a belief is first by understanding it. Where is this coming from? Is
yeah,
this coming from the fact that people only call his phone just to speak with him, just for fun, like as a friend? Or is it
mm,
that they just like the overall experience with him, which
yeah,
90% of it happens after they book the appointment? So there's that. Secondly, does he get
yeah,
any new inquiries? Because if he's getting any sort of new inquiries or new leads, those people don't know nothing about him. They don't know who he is or anything like that. So if the
yes,
AI, which would be prompted on, of course, like his business, how to go about talking, how to handle objections, like all of that stuff that's
yeah,
tailored, then it's a matter of, okay, well, then that handles step one, and then
mm,
you're the one who actually, of course, meets them. You're the one on the appointment. You're the one who deals with them afterwards. It's like you first need to understand before you can reframe that belief. But hopefully that gets the brain juices flowing and gives some ideas there.
That does, no, certainly. And with regards to what you mentioned about whether what part of the process is it that they're worried about being replaced with, or the personality not coming through, is one of them mentioned quite clearly about the first point of contact. So the person that answered the call, he was talking about how that's him and the way that he interacts is what gets them in, and so on and so forth. So he put a lot, if he was to put a percentage on it, I reckon he would put a significant percentage of
Yeah.
his success upon the first interaction. Yeah,
And
so
that's
yeah, that was quite interesting.
and then also to dig into that in the discovery process, now it's like, okay, and what about like the way that you interact specifically gets people feeling that way, or what is so special? Like,
Mm.
don't say it in like a aggressive way, like what makes you so special,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
genuinely like try to find out what is it that he's doing that makes it so special. Get him to define it, because keep in mind,
yeah.
people think they're just, oh yeah, I'm just, I don't know, good with people. What does that actually mean? And Hermosi
Mm.
does a really good job of like defining these type of things. Like, for instance, charisma. It's like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, this person has charisma. What do they do? Are they just special? No, it's like, okay, when they walk into a room, they look people in the eye, they shake their hand, they give them a compliment. Like, these are all very tactical things, but when you
yes.
combine these 10 different tactical things, you get a person who's like, oh, that person's a likable person, that person's a nice person, that person's a happy
Yeah, like
person.
a one word description.
Exactly. And it's like, that's really a culmination of like 20 different
Mm.
actions. So it's like, okay, when he when he picks up the phone, does he ask their name? Does he
Yeah,
sound happy? Does he ask them how their day is? I don't know. Does he ask about their family? It's like, what about these calls make him
yeah,
so special to where he thinks like, okay, that's 90% of the reason why they book? It's like, okay, basically all of that, aside from I guess his voice, um, could
yeah,
be prompted into an AI. It's just in order to do that, we need to then define things, and that's how I've built
yes,
out some of my agents to where I think I've showed you some of the text threads. It'll literally
yeah,
handle objections so perfectly. It'll then give a YouTube video of mine. It'll give a testimonial of mine.
yeah,
All of these different things. It's like, in order for me to do that, I had to take a step back and look at like, why am I converting people? How am I able to handle objections? I could have just said, oh, yeah, the reason why people are booking with me or buying my product is because I'm good at sales. And it's like,
mm,
yeah, that's only me. That's the reason. AI can't replace me. It's like, well, no, the reason was when I would get an
mm,
objection, I would reference a testimonial to improve the likelihood of success when
yeah,
handling the objection. Whenever I would get like a confusion based, let's say, objection in regards to like, their perspective is wrong on something very big, like for reference, like Facebook ads, which was half
yes,
of the equation that I was selling. What would I do? Okay, I would then send them a YouTube video that goes way more in depth, that breaks down the psychology behind why they actually do work and why what they've tried in the past fails. So when you
yeah,
define these things, and keep in mind, like, I had to do this for myself and really extrapolate everything, to get it to a point where now I can confidently say that AI would respond just about exactly how I would. So in the
yeah,
past, if you try to plug in a generic AI, like, yeah, it's not going to do as well as me because I'm so special. But now, once I define, okay, what makes my sales process or sales ability special, it's like, okay, these little nuances, and that's what we feed to
yeah,
AI. So that's where, once again, like 90% of these questions, um,
mhm,
or confusion, so like, how do I reframe this, is all going to stem from understanding it. Just like, be
yeah,
hyper curious. And when he says, oh yeah, AI can't replace me because I'm 90% of the reason why they book, it's like, okay, why is that? Like, what are you doing differently than these
yeah,
other roofers that's making your booking abilities so special? It's like, that's also how people train humans as well. It's like, that's the same way we
yeah,
train humans. It's like, we have closers, and it's like, okay, how can we get closers to sell our product as good or better than we can? Well, we need to first
yes,
teach them what's already proven to work, and in order
yeah,
to do that, we have to define it first. So
yeah,
all of your answers are going to come from asking questions to get clear definitions, because then it'll make sense. Oh, okay, well, when you call them, you say this, you then ask them about this, then when they say this, you respond this way. And now it's like, these
yeah,
are all things that can then be, let's say, prompted into an AI to then replicate that. And when you can show that and
yeah,
convey that, that's where you'll be able to sell someone who thinks they're super unique,
yeah.
because we just take that uniqueness and feed it to an AI.
Spot on. Thank you so much for that, James. That clears up a lot of my doubts and questions. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely.